How's it going, everyone? It's me, Noah, here, and today I'll be showing you how I recreated an iconic sequence from the 2003 Clone Wars series. This is, of course, where Captain Fordo and his clone troopers are standing amongst the rubble and battle droids that they have blasted to pieces on a bridge on the planet of Coruscant. If you're interested in taking a look at this picture in HD quality, you can go over to my Flickr and see the post that I made about it there. You can also check out the additional build that I created with these minifigures over on the Beyond the Brick YouTube channel. And additionally, the Clone Army Customs minifigures, which you see here in this video, are from the Clone Army Customs website. So you can also check out all of those links down in the description below. To begin, we'll be taking a look at the foreground elements that make up the rock formations, or in this case, the concrete formations that have sort of been pushed up from the bridge after the fighting and explosions that have so far already occurred during this scene, and the clone troopers themselves, which are all positioned nicely on some of these pillars, and I'll be going over how I was able to achieve this. To go ahead and begin with this, we're going to go ahead and push this back and then remove one of the clone trooper formations here and show you. This is just made up of some Duplo elements as well as some of these 2x bricks, and this just gives it a way to position the clone trooper. As you can see, I've gone ahead and removed one of the legs and sort of positioned him because he has that little space that's in the inside of his leg, and you can do a really cool positioning, so kind of get the leg not to be entirely on the stud but sort of halfway on the stud, and that just gives it this really nice posing for this clone trooper. What I've also additionally done is, instead of using a regular black head, I've gone ahead and used a neck bracket, and underneath the clone helmet you can see one of these pieces right here. You can also replace this with 2 studs, for example, but this just gives it a way for me to pose the helmet a lot better than if I were to do it with a black minifig head. And you can see this is paired up with a nice blaster and gives this really cool posing as if he's now shooting at the enemy that is coming towards them. Moving on to another one, we're going to take this rock piece right here that is covering a part of this pose right here, and you can see this is sort of a little contraption to hold up this leg, and secretly in the picture you can see that the piece is sort of covered up by this rock piece. And then right here we have another leg which is also propped up right here with a 1x1 plate and is not entirely on the stud, just like with the previous one. Now in the back right here, I do have another neck bracket, and I use it here to come in handy to hold up the rest of the body, or the torso in this case, and that is held up here with one of these clips with a bar that goes up to another clip, and that hangs onto the neck bracket. Right here, we also have the weapon, the same type of weapon used to sort of blast at the droids. And you can see this little piece right here. There's a custom element, if I remember that correctly, from Brick Arms. And this piece right here you can use to sort of position the blaster a lot better. You can't really attach the hand right here underneath the blaster, but are able to do so. That gives me the ability to now not have to plug this arm in right here, and that also just gives it a better dynamic. If you're seeing this like so, you can see that the arm is better angled, and secretly if you're turning it, you can see that it's not even attached. Underneath, the same thing is where I've just used a small element to sort of prop up the helmet, and that gives me a better opportunity to sort of angle the helmet however I want it. As you can see here in the middle, we have the other clone troopers, which are a little bit more difficult to show here on camera. Rather than just taking them out, I decided to zoom in and show you a little bit better how they are positioned here in the build. Starting with Captain Fordo himself, you can see that his 2 legs are right here positioned with some 1x1 bricks. These are attached to some clips. You might be able to see one right here with a bar and a clip, and that attaches the legs and gives it a better angle. And now you might be wondering how the torso is attached to the back. This is using one of these antenna pieces, and this just sort of gives a better angle for the torso, as well as just the fact that I cannot attach it here to the legs. So this just gives it a nice angle and is a good way to attach it, and just gives a very dynamic pose for Captain Fordo. The same thing is sort of done right here, except it's not too complicated with this trooper here on the right. You see that he has a clip as well as a bar that is underneath that his leg is sort of attached to. I turn this around, you can see the clip is there attached to the back of his leg. Not too complicated of a process, but at the same time, it gives a better posing than if I were to just simply plop him onto a plate and just hold him up like manually. What you might also be able to see is that this clone trooper does not have one of his hands on, and that just simply is because I wanted him to have a better posing when he's grabbing for his weapon. And obviously later in the photo, you're not able to tell so good if he is grabbing onto the weapon. It looks like it with his arm, but then obviously the hand is not seen. The last trooper that I wanted to take a look at right here is the one with the large gun, the large Gatling gun, so to speak. And what I did was I paired him up with the weapon and then additionally used the neck bracket that is here on the back and gave him this chain, so to speak, to make it look like he has a large clip that is here for his weapon. Last bit here on this 16 by 32 base plate is to show the rock formations, which I've simply attached here using some ball joints, as well as some pieces that are just sort of placed in here without any reinforcement or any piece that sort of holds it down, so just, so to speak, are held in there by gravity. We have some pieces in light bluish gray as well as light gray, and they're just various different slopes, plates, as well as some tiles mixed in here. And this is just supposed to give that broken up concrete feel that we see from the bridge. It's sort of just been blown up and used as a barrier between the clones and the droids. But here at the front, I did want a couple of pieces to be a little bit more intricate, and hence why they're here at the front. And then towards the back, where you aren't able to see them as well, you have the larger rock pieces or larger rock formations that take up that space. Additionally, I wanted to show real quick the way I angled the super battle droid that you also see in the picture. And this is using some bars as well as some clips. And once again, just holds it up and shows the various different pieces that are lying around or in front of the clone troopers. I'll now be focusing on the background elements of this picture, and to start we'll be taking a look at the larger building structure that we see on the left-hand side. You can see it here on the right-hand side of the entire structure that I am talking about. I'll be focusing on the smaller details that make the most sense to point out and that might help you if you're creating your own scene or you're trying to recreate a building for your own build, similarly like this one. To start, we have these smaller pillar structures that are on the left and right hand side of the building that help angle the building similarly to like how we see it in the film. We also have some light gray elements mixed with light bluish gray elements, which I think are a really cool contrast to the colors that also add with the windows that we see here on the top. The windows are made up of trans black window panes and as well as some other detail elements to get this sort of cracked look inside the window, using some 1x2 and 1x1 plates as well as some cheese slopes, and that just gives a really cool look. I think is a lot more interesting than what we see in the actual film, which is more some light bluish gray blocks that are used for like the windows. I think this is a lot more interesting and mixed in with the dark bluish gray bricks as well as the old dark gray plates, which you can also see here in the middle. I think this contrasts nicely together and adds something a lot more than what we see in the actual film. You can also see right here, I added some ruined looks to the brick. This is just over time as the battle is raging on throughout the city. You can see some more light gray plates as well as light bluish gray plates, tiles, and brick that are sort of mixed together. I think this is really cool and certainly looks better when you're looking at the scene in the background. This is meant to be looked at close up. If I were doing this more for a close-up shot, I would be doing this a lot more detailed, but because it is in the background, I'm not adding things like cheese slopes and quarter tiles and other pieces that just give it a little bit more of a flow. This is sort of the ruined look that is in the background. It doesn't have to be too detailed when I'm doing a scene just like this. Another small segment right here is just some plates that are also mixed with some slopes and tiles. This is another ruined part of the building that I think adds a little detail to the background element or to the building that you see in the background of the picture. And very simple, very effectively done with some plates that are attached to some 1x bricks with studs on the side. And I think these just work perfectly with the other ruined elements that you see here on the left-hand side of the building. The last element of this structure to show is this archway right here, which is simply achieved using some of these arch bricks as well as some of these bricks and a row of tiles and plates that are here on the top. This is just a little element that you can also see within the show. There's an archway that is over Fordo, and I wanted to capture this. Also, if it isn't just to scale, it isn't entirely to scale, obviously, but I think it looks perfect for the shot that I took and also adds with the building structure that we see on the right-hand side. The last structure of this build to go over is the building segment that you see on the right hand side. And to go ahead and go into it, you can see the entire structure on the right hand side of the screen. And using some clever force perspective, I was able to make this look a little bit larger than what it actually is in real life. You can see here, before I turn it around, there is some train track pieces that I used in attaching some plates and tiles to those, making this sort of smooth look. And here in the middle, a row of cheese slopes that goes all the way up to the top. And that is this nice angled look for this building. And turning it around, I can now show you the structure on how it is actually attached. Before I do, there is this counterweight right here that helps, weigh it down and make sure it doesn't fall over. This is from a previous creation that you might be able to tell from. If you do know where this is from, feel free to comment down below. But anyways, this helps to counterweight the entire thing so that it doesn't fall over. And then right here is the secret on how it is nicely flushed out with the cheese slopes, is using some of these bar and clip elements. There's one right here and one at the top. And this just nicely is attached to some plates and brackets that makes it all flush and really good looking for the actual building, using force perspective in the actual build. That about does it for this video. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to give this video a like and let me know down in the comment section what your favorite sequence or scene from the 2003 Clone Wars is. This is probably going to be mine just because I was able to recreate it in Lego, but you never know. Maybe in the future I'll make something else from this series again. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next Lego video.